But welcome back. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone. In our first segment this morning, we're going to discuss the midterm census as it started on Friday the 10th. And we are talking about the challenges and ways to rectify them. Now, in our studio to discuss this, we have Kalilu Tutange, the chairperson of the National Council of Civic Education and Development. And we also have Samuel Ansumana, the Director of Communications from Statistics Sierra Leone. But before we delve into the conversation, good morning.
Good morning.
The President of Sierra Leone, Dr. Julius Maada was among the first, if not the first, to be counted on Friday. So let's just, I would say, recap of what happened there at State Lodge on Friday morning. We'll be back.
A short presentation to His Excellency, the Statistician General, Professor Usman Sanko, thanked the President and members of the First Family for leading by example and for participating in the process of collecting quality and transparent data in Sierra Leone. He emphasized that the information will be used for national development, adding that the process leading to the start of the census was all-inclusive.
The representative, we had a discussion with her, and then who was here. So there was a consultant who assisted Sierra Leone in the 2015 census. Please, what we've seen, the best thing that we could do is to invite the same consultant to help us and understand what we found. We are grateful to the bank for the support. We are now capacitated and we feel sad that after all the support the bank has given us, and the bank has made us strong as we are today to start this, then we would have loved to be with them to move forward.
In his brief statement, President Dr. Julius Maada commended Statistics Sierra Leone for their preparedness, saying that he had followed the process right through all the stages. He ended by calling on citizens to participate in the process because it was important for national development.
I thank all of you and to say that I'm very proud of the team, and this is what we are talking about, human capital development. It is not always that we should resort to politics. And as you can see, you've done the preparation with the support and collaboration of a lot of actors around the country, in the villages, in the towns, in the cities, which means you have the support. As I've always said, it is us, the politicians, who are impeding the development of this country. This is a simple process. It has been done before, and you have upgraded your skills, and you want to do it again. So if no one is afraid of what they have done in the past, they should not be worried about what the outcome of this census is going to be. You've counted before. Let me count again. Why are you worried about what is going to be the result of my own counting when we have a professional body that has gone through all the stages and is prepared?
An excerpt of how the process went through.
I work with Statistics Sierra Leone, although the midterm population and housing census. I will take you them small for let me go through the information. I will ask you small questions and we pertain you host, and other than sleep now you host this census net. So this one us we una do so. How many people there where they eat inside one pot? And how many family they live there?
People together 10. No, the other parts, the other side.
Runs for Luby Metzger, Ewavinos in Freetown.
Right, a recap of Friday's counting there at State Lodge with the President and First Lady of Sierra Leone. So far, it's been about 3 days from Friday the 10th since counting started. So would like to know, how has it been going, Samuel? Are you facing any challenges? We're aware that some political parties had asked their supporters not to participate in the census. What has been happening over the past couple of days?
Okay, so thank you very much. We are happy that we started. On Friday, we went to the president. That was the first place that we actually enumerated the first family, and then we started working on deploying all of the teams across the country. So for the past couple of days, we've deployed and work has started in almost all of the districts. We've had some challenges, especially when it comes to the payment of staff. That is largely due to the fact that the bank that we're working with, Sierra Leone Commercial Bank, does not have branches in all the districts. So, for example, some places like Falaba and Karine, they have to move from a place drive, to the districts to go and make payments, But there have been challenges there, and there are little challenges, but I think those ones are surmountable. And the counting is ongoing as we speak in almost all of the districts, and we hope to really be able to get the support of people. We've also had a few resistance here and there, well, not like at community level, but just isolated cases of resistance, individual households, more or less, but we try to see how best we can put mechanisms in place to really talk to those people so they can see reason to be counted. We have the leverage to go there 3 times. That's what happens traditionally. You should go whether the person does not talk to you or whether you do not meet the person at home. You should go there at least 3 times. If you failed all the 3 times, for example, if the person is not really at home, then you can drop a callback card. All right. So even at the second visit, you can still drop a callback card. Indicating that the person can call you, or the person also drops his or her number so you can call. Okay, because there are some people they are very difficult to meet at home, So all of those are mechanisms we actually put in place to ensure we get people counted. But amidst all the challenges, I think I cannot say we are cruising at this moment, but we are moving gradually, and I'm pretty sure in the next day or 2 we will be cruising. Ghana, whom we are learning lots of lessons from. They did their census. We monitored that census. We were there to see how things were going. They only got started, as in really got kicking on the 5th day. So it's not easy in Africa. And for us in Sierra Leone, we understand all of the things leading up to the census, what happened leading up to the census. So I think, in fact, we've done very well to do what we've done so far.
Did counting start all over the country on the 10th, or there are parts which you're not counting at the moment? Because a lot of people are concerned about, whether their area has been skipped or whether Statistics Sierra Leone is focusing on specific parts of the country.
Counting actually started on Friday because the first gentleman was counted and his family. We also did some floating population counting. Those people under the bridges, on the streets, the street boys, the ghetto boys, those people that actually do not have a fixed abode. Those are the floating people. So we did a counting of them, and we still continue to going to do that. Counting has started, all right? It is gradual. Now, one thing we also want people to understand, and I've had this before, people saying, oh, it's been 3 days, they've not come to my house. It is possible that they will not come to your house maybe until the 14th day, even the 13th day. It's a 2-week process, all right? We even have a possibility of mopping up after that. It's normal in censuses. You would have a week or 2 to just mop up, touch those areas where you didn't reach, okay? So it's a 2-week process, and let me give you a scenario. If an enumerator comes to an enumeration area where he or she is to count, all right? And that enumeration area has 80 to 120 households. Assuming that enumerator spends 20 minutes per household in one structure let's give a scenario where you have 6 households, like those buildings where you have apartments. Each apartment is an household. Let's say in one structure, all right, one building, there are 6 households there. And that enumerator spends 30 minutes to enumerate one household, all right? Probably that enumerator will take another 3 hours to enumerate just that one household. So it will take time. They would eventually come to your house. That person is charged with the responsibility to count that enumeration area, which he or she is supervising, or which he or she is actually counting people, all right? So it will take time. It's not a situation where this was not an election. It was not a registration where you see piles of people or lined up and stuff like that. This is a situation where we move from house to house to count, okay? And it is not one day. That was another thing that people felt, okay, it was just going to be the 10th, and people sat at home on the 10th, waiting for them to be counted.
Yeah,
that was not the
even
case.
on the on the 9th to the 10th, people were like, each na area then can't you this net.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
So one of the issues that I think most people are complaining about is lack of proper communication or proper education on about the census, how it's being done. So what are some of the challenges that statistics has already foreseen? What are some of the expected challenges for this midterm census?
First of all, let me talk about the challenge of communication. I don't think I think it was a challenge of understanding what we meant by you'll be counted where you slept on the census night. Okay, so I think a lot of people misconstrued that to be a situation where they'll be counted on the day of or on the morning of the 10th.
Exactly.
All right. Okay, so we've done lots of communication over the past couple of days for people to understand that it's a process. It's not a situation where you'll be counted on the same day. But challenges. We knew we were going to have challenges of resistance from people, and this is not new, all right? In 2015, there were challenges of resistance. In 2004, there were challenges of resistance. For whatever reason, some people might not just want to talk to our people, all right? For whatever reason, okay? So we knew that there would be that challenge. Logistics is another challenge which we envisaged, and it showed. But we've been able to remedy the situation. Payment has been almost completed in all of the districts. Deployment is ongoing also in those districts that we are later on paid, the farthest districts. But in other places, enumeration has already started. So we knew there would be these challenges. You know, you would always have these skirmishes here and there, but at the end of the day, you would be able to just, settle them and you move forward. You fix them and you move forward. Yeah.
Okay. So with all those challenges, are some of the challenges that the World Bank was talking about that's why they said we're not ready for the census? Okay, so
to start with, let me first and foremost thank the World Bank for their support. The World Bank supported us through thick and thin. They supported almost every process of the census, from the locality verification to the cartography to the tablet provisioning to the pilot census to almost the main enumeration now that we are doing. Okay, they've supported us throughout, and we want to thank them for their unwavering support. However, when it comes to talking about the challenges that they identified, and which you are actually alluding to, that we are seeing now, or maybe you're saying it was maybe those challenges that we're seeing now. The World Bank and other people that are in data collection business know that there is no data collection that is smooth. None. Okay? Even in Ghana, we are also funded by the World Bank and other partners, they encounter the same thing. It's the same for almost everywhere in the world. Okay? We know the challenges that we highlighted in that release that they put out, that letter indicating that they were withdrawing. Those were things we had addressed. The pilot enumeration, the pilot evaluation is something which we had sent to them. In fact, they were the first partner that we sent the pilot reports to, and they evaluated that report and got back to us that for the coding, which was the major, in fact, is the most important thing in this whole census, because at the end of the day, it's the localities that would have to be coded, and you have to have accurate coding. They got back to us that the coding was 99% right. Okay, you know, the deployment, the operations plan, all right, the field operations plan, which we did under the supervisory area model that we adopted from Ghana. It was even them that recommended it to us. You know, they vetted it, and we got to Ghana, whereby one supervisor would cover 2 supervisory areas and be in charge of 2 enumerators. You know, so that model was really brought in from Ghana, because we realized when we did the pilot that people completed, you know, their enumeration areas quickly. You know. As opposed to the traditional paper-based where they used to spend a long time. With the copy, they did it, or the tablet, they did it very fast. Okay, so we now said, okay, if this is the case, then let's one enumerator go to 2 enumeration areas. Okay, so that model was recommended to us in consonance with the World Bank from Ghana. Okay, and also the training. All right, what I will just say is this: the World Bank had been supporting us, and when the training started, the training was on. A week after the training, a week after the training had started, it was after the training, had started, they came to us. That was like, I think, the 6 or 7 day training for us to sit and talk about the monitoring of the census, okay? So if they had issues with the training, all right, why did they come? For us to sit down and then talk about the monitoring of the census, which is the next step. After you're done with the training, you go into monitoring. In fact, the training modules, which we trained people on, were developed by the World Bank. They vetted it, okay? So what we know is that, you know, the major issue, which never came up in their press release, was the issue of the date, all right? Now, when government of Sierra Leone responded, they indicated that clearly. The major issue which we had for the past 3-4 months with the World Bank, we've been battling over, was the date, period. No more, no less. No, it was not technical. It was not at all technical. So it was not logistical. It was a date, okay? They wanted us to do the census in February, all right?
As in February 2022?
2022, all right? February 2022. They said they didn't think we had enough time, all right? That is what they said. They said
enough time for...
Enough time. They felt like, okay, that was what they said initially. They said they didn't feel we had enough time. All right.
To
and
clarify the issues they talked about.
Yes, that is what they said. So we said we gave them a timeline of all what we had done, okay, and the milestones and how we intend to actually work towards the December date, all right? Then they got back to us. In fact, this was like 4 months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, when we gave them the initial date, all right? Then they got back to us to say, okay, from that time, which was around July, August, all right? They said, okay, to December, we don't think there is enough time to complete X, Y, Z and stuff like that. Okay, so at the outset, they had made it clear that December was not going to be good for them, all right? They proposed February or so. All right. In fact, originally they proposed July next year. All right. Then they came back and said, okay, let's see how we can work around February and stuff like that. So, you know, cut long story short, we came at a point where they now said, okay, if we're no longer going to question your dates, all right, your timelines, what we'll look at are the technicalities. Okay, so you would still stick with your timelines that you've set. For whatever technical issues we raise or we think you need to clarify, get back to the drawing board, get them cleared, we vet it, and we move on. Okay, so that is how we have been working. If we do X, Y, Z, they say, okay, we do the coding, we do whatever, they get back to us, okay, this, you need to correct this, you need to correct this, and we fix it, we move. That is how we have been working. So it was not a question of the timeline. Now, we insisted on doing it in December because if we had gone to February, one, it would not be midterm anymore. Okay. All right? The plus or minus margin would not have held, it will not hold anymore. All right? It will not hold anymore. February would now be, out of the midtermness of the census. It will not be midterm anymore. So we told them that we are doing a midterm, and you know that, all right? It's better we do it in December. So that was one. Secondly, and we give them evidences to the effect. We also told them, okay, traditionally censuses have been held in Sierra Leone in December, all right? 1985, December, 2004, December, 2015, December. So we went as far back to give them an idea of how censuses have been conducted in
and
Sierra
how
Leone.
sensitive it is for
Yes,
you to
yes.
hold the census in December.
Yes, so all of those we gave, but at the end of the day, and we had been working, we were hopeful, but at the 11th hour, they pulled out. That is why, we are thanking the government of Sierra Leone. We particularly want to thank them because as we see it, we felt that it would have been an embarrassment to the country. It would have been a national disgrace, if not an international disgrace, if we had reached that point where the government was not going to come in handy to solve this, to actually pay people to go to the field. It would have been that situation where we'll be mocked, as Sierra Leoneans generally, all right, that a donor partner pulled out of your census and you could not continue, all right? So where is the sovereignty that we are talking about?
Is this all is this census all in a bid to save face, if I should put it that way? Because you do accept that the World Bank, the issues raised by the World Bank are legitimate, and their main concern was that there was not enough time to clarify all these issues.
No. I didn't say they were legitimate. I said they were illegitimate. I didn't say they were legitimate. So if you say I said the issues raised were legitimate, meaning I am adhering to what they said in their letter.
Well, you did accept that their concern was that there was not enough time to clarify these issues that they've raised.
Yeah, that is what they said. That is what they said. But what they wrote in the letter, the issues they wrote in the letter, I told you, we are clarified. All right? So it was not a matter of their point or stance being legitimate and us being illegitimate. It was not a matter of legitimacy or illegitimacy.
So if the issues had already been clarified, why did the World Bank think there was not enough time? Enough time for what?
That is the question we are asking, all right? It even came to a point where, I think I failed to say this, it came to a point where they were not saying, okay, December will be holidays, the holidays will interrupt your work and stuff like that. They told us that, all right? When the issue of the date had come about and, they were finding ways to, raise issues here and there, they even said that to us. Okay, December is holiday. How do you intend to really do censuses in December when December is a holiday and stuff like that? And we told them all the censuses we've done in Sierra Leone have been in December.
Been conducted.
All right, in December. Okay, so for us, it was not an issue of date. We appreciate the support they've given us. And let me also tell you this, Antonia. The World Bank rendered technical support to us till the 11th hour. So we are technically ready. All right?
Well, they
up
stated
to
that
the
in
last
the
minute, they were giving us technical support. Even as we speak, they're still supporting us on other projects, other components of the project, of the ISWA project.
Right.
Okay? It's just the enumeration which they felt they were going to pull out of.
Okay, all right. Continue to stay with us, Samuel. You're still watching Wake Up Sierra Leone, Africa Young Voices Television, and we have with us Samuel and Sumana from Statistics Sierra Leone, and also Kalilu Tutange from NACID, which is the National Council of Civic Education, and we're talking about the ongoing census. But in the studio is Samuel and Sumana from Statistics Sierra Leone and Kalilu Tutange from NACID. Well, Kalilu, let's come over to you. You've heard all what Samuel has said, and also the issues that they've been facing with the census, and also what political parties, they've been a bit vocal about, certain political parties being vocal about not wanting to be part of this census. As someone from someone that's into civic education, Sierra Leoneans, or you being part of a country, you have your own right to your country. What are some of these rights, and how is it that tell us, how does this affect the census or does not affect the census? Like people saying they will not be part of the census. Is it right?
Well, I would say, first of all, the census process is a civic process.
Okay.
Is a responsibility that we bear to ourselves and to our nation to have the counts right, so that we will ensure that we are able to plan with the data tools that we will collect out of the census. So that's why it's incumbent on every Sierra Leonean to show up and be counted. That having been said, one would expect that Statistics Sierra Leone from the outset would have engaged civic space. What happened to the religious organizations? What happened to civil society groups? And so far, I've not heard anybody from those angles speaking to the issues in the census. Instead, we have left this to politicians whose basic interest is how to either get into power or to stay into power. And so what we are hearing now is that some political parties are saying that we will not participate, or we don't want our people to participate, as if they have a stranglehold on all of these people and they have to make decisions for them. So it's an unfortunate situation, but it's not late yet. I still believe that we can work with Start SL to bring along civil society groups, religious organizations, paramountries, and let people own. Right, you call it the people's census. Let the people own their census.
All right, so basically you're saying much education was not done.
Well, I wouldn't say much education was not done. There should be a situation where the people are driving their own process. They are advising the mosques, they are advising people to get counted. The churches, they are advising people to get counted. The traditional leaders are getting their own people to get counted, because at the end of the day, we need to get this right. Something that have been doing the rounds, or why even when you play that clip when Professor Sanko was speaking about the census, there was a situation where we did a census in 2015. Other than the political things that we are done with it, say the boundary delimitation for districts or for constituencies, other than that, nothing has been done with that document. Nobody has quoted the 2015 census in any of the development work that we are doing. So it's like a work gone to waste. So if we decide that we want to correct that with the midterm census, let us try as much as possible to be a part of this process to ensure that the process is credible. And whatever data we get out of that, we can use it for our development purposes, not only for the politicians to do what they please with it. The good thing about all of this, since we have heard the politicians say, no, you cannot count us, they have not talked about the technical soundness or the fairness of the process. They have not dealt with the process at all. They have not spoken to the process. They are just saying, no, we don't want to be counted. Why don't they want to be counted? Nobody has said. Really. So that's why I think it's important for civic leaders to step into this space to ensure that we get the counts right. Because if you tell your people not to get counted, and future planning depends on this, so you actually want us to get the numbers wrong, and so that we cannot use it for the development of our country. But let's say they were doing voter registration. Is these same politicians that we have vehicles, buses, and transport people from place to place to ensure that they get registered to vote for them? It's not fair. So I only implore civic leaders to step into this space, to work with Statistics Sierra Leone, and to monitor. These guys, they say all of what they are saying, we have done this right, we have done A right, we have done B right, we are getting so much challenges. Let us pry into this process. Let the civil society, religious leaders, let us pry into this process. Let us see what is happening. Let us monitor what is going on. So at the end of the day, we will ensure that whatever numbers come out of this is going to be to the purpose of developing our country, not for politicians to take advantage of.
Talking about people not being involved, like the religious bodies and also civil society organizations. Prior to the start of the census, there have been a lot of issues going around with the census and with World Bank at the last moment pulling out of the census. Don't you think why they refused, or why I won't say refuse, why they've not tried to reach out to civil society organizations and also religious bodies was because of the issues around the census, and the government think this is something that is much needed for the country and they needed to go on with it?
Well, you see, I don't see what the issues are really. Like the gentleman explained, we have all been seeing what's going on. World Bank has been in the thick and thin of this. But just days before the World Bank letter came out, we saw a letter, a press release from the main opposition, All People's Congress, which was followed by another group they call, was this COPP or something like that, COP. They also wrote and they're urging the World Bank to withdraw funding. In fact, some people went to the extent of saying that World Bank is trying to undermine democracy and all of that. So what the effort has been generally is to politicize the census, because people are talking about what the government may or may not do with the census figures. They are not talking about the process of the census itself. What one would have thought is that these political leaders would say, open the door, let us come in, let us be part of this process to ensure that it is fair, it is genuine. So whatever numbers we're getting out of that, the numbers are for real. So if that was the case, one would begin to say there are genuine things that need to be dealt with. So even at this time, that's why I'm saying that civil society group, religious leaders, it is time that we get into this process. What is it really that the opposition is complaining about? What is it that Sierra Leone is doing that is not right in their view? And so we begin to see that we step into that space to ensure that Sierra Leone would be fair in the count, so that whatever number we get out of that is something we can all own up. Now, what the government may do with that number in the future is not for us to decide now. But what I can only say, last time when the census was going on, I think it was Lavali that was saying, when somebody asked about whether the government then was going to create districts and all of that, then he said at the time, why do you want more rooms when your house is leaking? And the government didn't pay attention to that. They went and created 2 more districts. Now you go to those places and see what really qualifies them to be a district. Go to Kamakwe, go to Mongo, and see what is it that we have provided to those people. Even those ones we have as districts, even in this 21st century, we will not be able to provide water for them. So why do we need to create more districts? Why is it not important for us to pay attention to the things that will make us grow as a country? All of the time we're talking about what political advantage Party A is going to have, what political advantage Party B is going to have. And let me ask you, ladies, this issue of a political party saying, we are in opposition, the other guys are conducting the census, let us boycott the census. They say what goes around comes around. So suppose you are now in government and the other people are in opposition. Then they say, let us boycott the census. So are they saying to us, because of their political interests, their individual interests, we are not ever going to have a census right in this country? Because each and every time somebody is going to say, let's boycott the census, let's boycott the census. And where are we getting the numbers right for our development? It's shameful. Look, for instance, all of these things they are fighting about, they want to say constituency. Government spends about 50 billion to service parliament a year. 50 billion. And so what are we getting out of that as a people? What are we really getting out of that? All we get is these cantankerous things about Party A not wanting to work with Party B not wanting to work with Party C. At the end of the day, we the people are left holding the bag. So that's why I think it's important, especially at a crucial point in time, for us as citizens to ensure that if this Census alone says this is a people's census, let the people own the process. Let us don't listen to the politicians. Let us occupy the civic space that is available for us to monitor what Census alone is doing. So at the end of the day, whatever comes out of it belongs to us.
It's common for governments or politicians to use the people as tools as a means to their own ends. So the concern here is whether citizens are being used as tools. We've seen, like you mentioned, the instance of the census the last time being used to create more districts when we cannot even service the districts we have currently. So at the end of the day, citizens continue to participate in state or government decisions, and at the end of the day, they do not see the benefits we conducted a census in 2015, resulted in the forming of 2 districts, Karine and Falaba. And you talk about going to Kamakwe, going to Mong, see what's happening in those district towns. Yeah. What's happening there? Nothing. So what was the purpose of the census?
Because we have allowed the politicians to seize our civic space. And so they did that census. The only thing they used that census for was for constituency boundary delimitations and the district thing. I have never heard anywhere anybody quote 2015 census as a basis for anything. Never. Even the development partners, even the World Bank and UNICEF and everybody else, nobody has ever quoted 2015 census as anything.
So that might be a reason why this census has been justified.
It's very justified in my view.
Because the data wasn't accurate enough to be used for anything, perhaps. But again, the question is, if citizens, you are asking for citizens' participation, for citizens not to listen to politicians, meaning opposition politicians who are
even ruling party politicians.
Who are asking citizens to boycott the census. But if we look at the track record, it seems the citizens are always held hostage between those in governance and those in opposition, pulling us left and right as to what we should do and what we shouldn't do, when at the end of the day, we do not reap anything out of it. We do not see development projects being implemented. We do not get the rights we deserve.
Yeah, because we have decided ourselves that we should be pawns in this game. Now, look at what happened. I was watching somewhere on social media. Sitting councillors, they staged a demonstration in McKinney against the census. And I even heard that from my team in Poloko, that other politicians, they held a meeting urging people not to get counted. Then I asked the question, if it was a voter registration, would they tell the people not to get counted? Because it serves their own interest for people to go register to vote for them. But they believe that they can disrupt this for political reasons, and we are going along with this. I've never heard any civil society organization or any religious organization come out boldly and ask the question, if you say you don't want the census, why don't you want the census? I just listened while I was sitting out there, one of the MPs was quoting from the elections, or the Statistics Act 2002, that clearly gives the president the powers to do this. So you are asking people to go against legal constitutional order from the president? Is that what you're saying, really?
All right. We still have in the studio Kalilu Tutange from the National Civic Education Council, and we also have Samuel Ansumana from Statistics Sierra Leone, and we've been talking about the census, the midterm census, which started 10th December this year. That's last week, Friday. We're talking about the challenges and the current situation, given that some political parties, some members of the public are raising concerns, and some have decided to boycott the 2021 census. Yeah, but we'll continue the conversation.
And we'll take some messages sent by you out there watching the program. We start with James M. Bangura, who says, we have to be honest with ourselves. I'm a positive thinker, and this is a hard fact. We like it or not, this is... okay, I'm sorry, James, I can't read that message. All Statistics Sierra Leone are doing now is formality. We are only now waiting for the magic data to be released by the government, as it has already been cooked up. And that is from Banks Umar. Okay. Abdul Salam here is saying the lives of many enumerators are at stake, and the Statistics Sierra Leone is pretending as if everything is okay. I hope you're ready to bear the responsibility should any unfortunate incidents as regards occurs. Okay. Vandi S. Sharif is saying World Bank should be ashamed of themselves. World Bank is no World Bank. World Bank or no World Bank, census must go on. Iman Sakurumai is saying all these institutions are created to control African nations. Ronald Georgestone is saying one of the first census was in 1974, which means we've been having census for over 40 years, and in that time, where have we seen developments for its population in terms of social housing, clean drinking water, and electricity, for example? Up to now, the basic needs of the people are still not being achieved by either successive governments we've had in Sierra Leone's history. So it's beggars belief as to what changes the current census will deliver. Sorry, I think I'm having issues with the internet also, and there are a lot of messages coming in.
All right.
Abbas Habib Koka Bangali is saying, what type of census do you want them asked? What kind of questions do you want them asked? No, there is nothing difficult about conditioning census. The only tough question that's needed answer was why World Bank left. Funding, we fund you, do as we say. If you don't pull out, we pull out. Ibrahim Jakima is saying the only reason why APC are boycotting the census on social media is because of political reasons. But behind the scenes taken, Samora Kamara has just been enumerated. And my final message this morning is saying if it's not to justify why you guys came to power and it's very vital for you to plan and develop, why did you guys not make it a priority to do this in 2019? These are some of the messages that are in there. Are a lot of messages coming in, and sorry, I cannot read all the message right now.
All right. Well, we start with Kalilu with regards to the response to these messages. What's the way forward? Like I mentioned before, it seems citizens are always in the middle of this political fight, and at the end of the day, citizens are also the most disadvantaged.
Absolutely. Just one quick message that someone said, as we've been doing census for 40 years, census, would this census deliver? Well, census doesn't deliver anything. It's our leaders who should deliver. What the census gives us is accurate data that we can use for development purposes. Unfortunately, all political leaders have been interested in that data is to make a gerrymandering of their own. So let's get that clear. At this point, what I think we should do, on our part, we are going to try to engage with Start SL, effective immediately starting today, and to see how we can work with civil society, in religious groups, interreligious council, all of those groups, to see how we can monitor this process. Now, we are complaining that the last census didn't deliver accurate numbers. The argument that statistics have been given to us, like it can tell us how many people are in Freetown, but they cannot tell us how many people are in this AOIV locality, which number you may need for something else. So we want to ensure that this census does not end up giving us inaccurate figures themselves. If that happens, we do not have data that we can work with going forward. That would be a bad thing for our country. So we want to engage them and see how we can monitor this process to ensure that it's fair and the number that they give to us is accurate. He's been talking about World Bank telling them about monitoring. We are also interested in monitoring what is going on, and we also hope that we can have leaders who can speak truth to the politicians to ensure that boycotting the census altogether is not a way out of this. Instead, we expect them to come and ensure and monitor this process to ensure that nobody cheats anybody and the numbers are right. That's the way forward in this one, in my view.
All right. And for Samuel, there's no doubt that the census is going on. Yeah. We've seen that, and you know, some people are willing to cooperate whilst others perhaps are still on the fence. What would be the, I would say, strategy of Stat-SL going forward to sort of cajole people and get people to understand why Stat-SL has embarked on this census?
Well, I think we have to just ramp up communication and engagement. You know, I'm happy Kalilu is offering, his time and his institution's time to see how we can engage religious leaders, other people. We had actually engaged these people because they are part of, the advisory committee also, and we've been meeting. The Interreligious Council is also part of it, but I'm not sure they are taking it to that level of getting their pastors and imams to actually, take up this venture in churches and mosques. That is not the case right now. So that could be a good thing, so people get to preach it, in churches and mosques, that, it's important. Civil society as well. We had been engaging them, and we want to open up the space more, so, they too can do engagements, and do third-party endorsements of the census for us. So it's about engaging, the people that are really, and also the communities. It's important, This whole call to boycott the census has been done mostly by individuals who belong to groups, certain groups. I always like to depoliticize, my conversations, because I didn't work for a political institution. So it is actually groups that people that belong to groups, and most of these people that are calling for a boycott are people who do not live in these communities where we are going to count. All right, most of them do not live there. Most of them drive cozy cars around. They live in cozy houses. Most of them have their kids out of Sierra Leone, all right, going to school, their wives out of Sierra Leone, so they are comfortable, all right? They are comfortable, whilst you are at the community level. If government wants to plan, if international partners and other NGOs come, they want to plan, we cannot afford baseline data for your community so that they can alleviate the poverty that you live in, all right? So I would put it in this manner, that when you at your community level, at your, in that township level, your village, your section, your ward, your chiefdom refuse to be counted, all right, because you are being told not to be counted. The people who told you not to be counted will not be the ones to suffer. It is you at that community level that would suffer, because when development is stalled, it is you that would suffer. The people they don't even care about you.
And what about people who have been counted for the past 10 years who still do not have water supply or good roads or access to electricity in their communities? Take, for instance, the 2015 census. What about people in Kamakwe who were counted and were formed into a district and still don't have good roads, water or electricity?
That is for the political leaders. Mr. Tutangi was talking about that. It is not our own work stops at just the production of the data. Now, that data,
because
I'm coming.
If you're cajoling people using data as a means to having good development in their communities, then perhaps you might want to point to examples. That's why I brought in.
Yeah, I know. So, it's the political class, all right, that now should use the data for evidence-based decision making, all right? Now, we are conducting this census. For me, I would rather say it's better we see how we collect the data, open up. You never keep trying, all right? You never keep trying. Let's see how we can open up, we collect the data, and let's see what the people can do for us with the data.
All right. Well, thank you so much for making time to speak to us on Wake Up Sierra Leone. Have a good day.